What's up, guys? Today I'm going to review a Senix 4-stroke chainsaw. Now, for those of you who don't know, there are 4-stroke chainsaws out there. Senix is the only one that I could possibly get my hands on, and I was actually on Amazon the other day, and it came across as like $100 for a 4-stroke chainsaw, and I had like a $50 credit toward Amazon, so I figured, what the heck, I'll buy it just as a novelty, not really as something I will primarily use, but just to let y'all see. So this is it. This comes with an 18-inch bar and chain, and it's got a fill up for the fuel. There's your crankcase oil, and there's your bar and chain oil, just to prove that it is a 4-stroke. Take that off. It's got a little valve cover. Look at that. It's got little valves on it. How cute. And from what I can tell, maybe I guess the pressure of the crankcase just spritzes oil up here because there's no oil delivery, which I thought was weird, but it hasn't burned up yet. And today I cut this pile here. So fair amount of trees, a couple of pines that were probably 13 inches in width. And it did pretty good. And just to prove to y'all that I am not some, guy that just has cheap chainsaws. I've got a pretty good collection. I got a bunch of pro saws. I'm missing a few because a few of them that I own aren't here right now. Like I have a Poland 4900, but this is my main guy, a Husky 262. And I have some other Poland 3400s, yada, yada. But I bought this purely as a novelty, and I don't know, I thought it'd be sort of fun to review it. I will say I tried to tune it so it runs decent, but going from wide open throttle, and then if you immediately let it go to idle, which is what everybody with a chainsaw does, sometimes it wants to die. I don't know if that's, just because of the valves and it being a 4-stroke. You don't primarily take your car and go full throttle and then let off and idle, full throttle idle. So I don't know. I can't compare this to any other 4-stroke chainsaw that I've ever seen. But like I said, as a novelty is the only reason I bought it. And I'm just throwing it in my toolbox in my truck in case I come across a downed limb or something. But yeah, it's pretty neat with the valves, and it's got a nice little access cover on the air filters, so it's not a crappy design saw. I mean, you've got a screen instead of a foam filter that'll break down, and cover comes off really quick. I mean, I guess you could adjust the valves right here and here. I put a feeler gauge under them. They both seem to be about 6,000, so it didn't come with a manual, or it came with a manual, but it didn't tell me what the lash is supposed to be, so I'm assuming it's correct. It's got a nice carb boot. As far as buying parts aftermarket for it, I really doubt that's going to be possible, especially in the future, because I knew these saws existed. I've never actually been able to purchase one because I think it was Home Depot used to sell them years ago, and then of course they phased that out because I guess nobody was buying them. So I guess somebody picked up some overstock and threw them on Amazon. The handle is too small, and even though it's only a 50cc saw, it feels like an 80cc saw at times when you're trying to start it after you shut it down, because it's just vapor locked in the cylinder because it has valves. And it gets hot because you're running it at full throttle all the time. So that is a problem. I'm going to probably put a bigger handle on it because I feel like I'm going to break it every time I go to start it. And it does have a primer bulb. So I guess the neat thing about it, obviously their selling point is you don't have to mix fuel. You can just put straight gas in here, which I guess is sort of neat. I will say it does suck fuel too. I know that looks like a decent amount, but it's really not too much to cut. You know, just small branches here and there, cutting them up, and it's going through a whole tank already. So it's not fuel friendly. It does come with dogs on it, so that's sort of cool. I mean, they're pretty cheap. I mean, the whole thing feels cheap, but it does run, it does work. I haven't had it to fail yet, so we'll see with continued use. But my personal take on it is not to buy it. You know, it's like $100, I believe, maybe $120, depending on where you can find them. At Amazon, they had them for $100, so I just figured no brainer. I'll just snag it up and see how she runs. Mainly because I don't have a 4-stroke chainsaw, and I thought it was cool. I wouldn't recommend buying it, even if you're if you just need a homeowner saw, 38, 40 cc saw, and you're just cutting limbs. I mean, I would even almost recommend like a Milwaukee battery saw, which is heresy because I love gas chainsaws. But this one, I don't know. It hasn't failed on me yet, but I can tell you one thing: the average homeowner already doesn't know how to adjust a carburetor, so you really think they're going to be able to adjust valves if something gets to be that crazy? Yeah. So that's my take on it. Cool little saw. Wouldn't recommend. Very hard to start and wants to intermittently die on me, and I can only assume that's because of possible, something with the valves. Maybe they're not lashed right. It does make when you shut it down after running it for about 20 minutes, it pops like popcorn. So it is getting hot. And of course that can change your valve clearances and all that. So I just don't really think a chainsaw was designed to be a 4-stroke. I think it is cool though that it was designed and made and available to be purchased, but would not recommend. But if you are wanting to get it as a novelty, I would recommend. If you have a little bit of, if you're somebody like me who just buys chainsaws because it's cool, or you don't have that model, or it's a little bit rare, then I guess I would recommend it. But let me know what you think. And if you have one of these, comment, because I don't know anybody that has ever hardly seen one of these, let alone purchase. So that's what I said when I saw it. I had to buy it. But I don't know, guys. Let me know. She's pretty cool, but she is a cheap machine. So I don't know. Maybe we'll let her sit for a few months and see how it fires up with the fuel starting to get gummy. Peace.